Have you ever had that moment where you swear leaving your hometown is the only way you'll ever become who you're meant to be? It's almost cinematic dust on your boots, a bag thrown in the back seat, and this urge to escape everything familiar.
Oh, definitely. And it's funny, because Soul Searching by Lyla Sage leans right into that feeling. The protagonist doesn't just leave her small town, she bolts, convinced that Sweetwater Peak is holding her back. But what's really interesting is how, years later, she's forced to come back, and the place she wanted to forget becomes the only place she can truly figure herself out.
Exactly. And I think the book hits a nerve for anyone who's ever felt that push and pull between wanting to escape and realizing sometimes the things you try to outrun are the only things that help you heal.
You know, that tension isn't just for drama. Lyla Sage really dives into what it means to confront your roots rather than deny them. And that sets the stage for some pretty deep self-discovery. Actually, speaking of Sage, there's a reason her stories always feel so grounded.
What always stands out to me is how Sage doesn't shy away from messy realities. Her reputation as a best-selling romance author came from writing love stories, but she fills them with real family baggage, community drama, and that undercurrent of unresolved pain.
I've noticed that too. Her characters aren't just falling in love, they're sorting through layers of old wounds, family expectations, and that pressure to grow up. Sweetwater Peak feels like its own living, breathing character because Sage is so tuned in to the way places shape us.
Totally. I feel like she's mastered the art of weaving romance through the infrastructure of everyday life. The little things, like community bonds or family shops, that hold way more meaning than you'd ever guess.
That's why the book's premise works so well. Saving the family antique shop isn't just a plot device, it's a stand-in for reclaiming lost parts of yourself. That leads right into the heart of the novel's central question: can you ever really move on if you refuse to look back?
You know, the book really takes apart this idea that a fresh start fixes everything. The protagonist thinks a new city and a shiny new job will solve all her problems, but those old issues just sneak along, tucked right in her carry-on.
That hit home for me. It's like people who keep jumping between jobs or cities, hoping the next move will finally make them happy, when, in reality, those unresolved feelings just find new ways to show up.
Exactly. The story almost gently mocks the idea that you can run from your inner baggage. It's not the scenery that needs changing, but the story you're telling yourself about your past.
Right, and by returning to Sweetwater Peak, she gets this brutal but necessary chance to look at her old life with adult eyes. It's kind of like realizing your old hometown isn't just a backdrop for bad memories, it's a whole ecosystem of lessons you never saw the first time.
What really got me is how the town itself becomes a character. Sweetwater Peak is more than a setting. It's a container for all these generations of stories, rituals, and unresolved grief. Saving the antique shop is about holding onto that legacy.
It's wild how objects, like a creaky old counter or a forgotten family recipe, start to feel like anchors. They're not valuable because they're rare, but because they carry the weight of everyone who came before.
I love that you put it that way. It reminds me of how we sometimes overlook the importance of our own family traditions or the places we grew up until we look back and realize they're the bedrock for who we've become.
And in the book, honoring that legacy isn't about getting stuck in nostalgia. It's about using the past as a foundation. That actually ties into another theme: how true healing happens when you open up to others, not just yourself.
One thing I didn't expect was how much the protagonist's healing depended on letting others in. It's not just about her and her love interest. It's her family, her neighbours, everyone who remembers her before self.
That's such a powerful idea. Real change happens in community. It's like, when she risks being honest about her pain, it gives others room to do the same. Suddenly, the town isn't just watching her struggle, they're sharing in it.
And it's a reminder that vulnerability isn't weakness. Whether it's in a romance or just asking for help, those honest moments actually deepen trust. We all know a friend or coworker who seemed invincible until they finally admitted they were struggling, and everyone felt closer after.
Exactly. It's relational healing, not just self-help. And the story suggests that if we want real transformation, we can't do it alone. We have to let others see us, flaws and all. That brings us to the big takeaways, which I think are super relevant even outside the book.
So, if we boil it down, one massive takeaway is to stop looking at your past as baggage and start seeing it as a map. The things we try hardest to forget are sometimes the very clues we need for our next chapter.
I felt that, especially with the way the protagonist channels her grief into action. Instead of waiting for the pain to disappear, she pours herself into saving something meaningful. It's like when you have a purpose, even a small one, it's the best therapy there is.
Absolutely. And there's this idea that self-acceptance is the most loyal thing you can do for yourself. The story doesn't let her off easy. She learns to be true to all herselves, past, present, and future.
And maybe the best part? The book suggests that those so-called valleys, your toughest lows, are where you find your greatest strength. The emotional peak only comes after you've climbed out of the hardest places. Makes you appreciate both the struggle and the growth, right?
Before we wrap up, I think it's worth pointing out who this book really speaks to. If you've ever felt caught between your past and your future, or you're going through a big transition, you'll see yourself in these pages.
And even if you're just a sucker for character-driven stories disguised as romance, this one's a gem. The emotional depth and sense of place make it stand out from your average small-town love story.
Plus, anyone who's wrestling with family legacy, whether that's a family business, tradition, or just old memories, will find something healing here. It's less about where you're going, and more about making peace with where you started.
Couldn't have said it better. If this hit home for you, let us know what you're ready to face in your own life. And seriously, go read Soul Searching. Sometimes, the journey back is the one that takes you the furthest.